There's less crime now than there has ever been in the history of the United States, basically. And people are at an all-time high for believing that they're going to be the victims of crime. You know that old saying, crime doesn't pay? I think they used to tell you it a lot to kind of dissuade you from doing bad things because it'll always come back to bite you. You're doing something wrong. It always feels like we want to believe that when you put out bad energy into the universe, it'll come back to bite you. Crime doesn't pay. But when you're a conservative, it seems like not only does crime pay, it pays dividends. So with the midterms coming up, and depending on when this video comes out, the midterms may be gone already. One big thing is on a lot of people's minds: crime. Now, here in the States, we've always had really interesting beliefs when it comes to crime. And these days, a lot of people were saying, as the races are tightening up here for the midterms, a lot of people are asking why. One of the big reasons it's true. Also, if you're a pharmaceutical company, crime does pay. If you're a cop, crime does pay. That's true. If you're a rich person, crime absolutely does pay. But we're off topic. A lot of people are asking why a lot of races are tightening up. All right, why we be getting so tight? Why this country is so tight? It comes down to a couple of reasons, but one big reason is crime. Okay, crime. Are you scared? You should be scared. And if you're not scared, I have some reasons for you to be scared, okay? Take a look at this freaking Cadwell police injured while arresting known gang members. Oh my gosh, known gang members out in force. Local business association says crime is so bad that customers and employees are scared to even come into their stores. University of Minnesota launches a targeted law enforcement presence amid a massive crime wave. Portland homicide detectives looking to death. Oh my gosh. And if you take a look at this, fear of crime looms large in voters' minds as it all plays into Republicans' hands. This is in Pennsylvania. Fetterman equals poverty and crime. But you look at that. Tying Democrats to being pro-crime, weak on crime, has had a lot of Democrats talking about crime and has everybody talking about crime, playing into their hands. Law and order has been a big thing that the Republicans have been talking about. Law and order. While they talk about how they're going to bring law to the country and that we live in complete lawlessness and how you should be so scared of actual crimes going on in the country and how crime riddled everything is and everywhere is except for where they are, that it seems like nothing is penetrating the talking point bubble that Democrats equal crime. I mean, take a look at this. And I know, and some of you may have seen this before, maybe even on this channel, but this is, it's still very important for us to talk about this. Sorry, I'm looking over. I saw Boo. Anyways.
So let's talk about the facts. The fact is, the rates of violent crime are higher in Oklahoma under your watch than in New York and California. That's a fact.
Well, we'll have that fact checked by the Frontier Superintendent.
It's also a fact that medical marijuana...
Oklahomans, do you believe we have higher crime than New York or California? That's what she just said.
Safe.
So, dude, Lamau, she just said words. Man, that's crazy. I disagree. Any facts to back that up? No. Now, it sounds really interesting and really counterintuitive about crime and how much crime there actually is in the country. Where it has more crime, where it doesn't have that much crime. It's an interesting topic, and a lot of people in this country these days are very, very worried about crime. They're very scared of being the victim of crime. I mean, let's just take a look at this, okay? We can just take a look at something really quick, okay? And this was from about 2 years ago. And so this isn't even up to date on where we are today, but it still illustrates, because this has been around for a long time, it illustrates how we think of crime in this country and how much has just been turned into a singular talking point for one side of the aisle to make people scared, which blinds them to the reality of what's actually going on. Many Americans are convinced crime is rising in the US. They're wrong. And so this is from 2020, okay? So I would like to show you something really quick. Crime is steadily falling, but Americans just simply don't believe it. And so this is the share of respondents who believe that crime had increased over the past several years. And this is over 50%, about like 55%, 56% of Americans back in 2020 believed that crime was on the rise. And if you take a look at the actual statistics for actual violent crime that's happening, how many people per capita are the victims of violent crime, property crime, per 1,000 households, it's at the lowest it's been in 30, 40, 50 years. Same with violent crime. It's near non-existent in this country. Speaking to how many people we have in this country, we have about 330 million people in this country. We're near all-time lows when it comes to crime. But still people believe that crime was on the rise. And I'd like to show you this. Perceptions of increased US crime at the highest since 1993. Let me take a look at this. This is even this is just like this has a breakdown. Instead of it just being on the rise, it depends on they ask you the question of either in your area or in the US generally. Okay, so in your area, about 38% of people said that crime was on the rise. In the US generally, 78%. And you know what's been driving this? You know what's been helping drive this? The media. A lot of local media, a lot of national media is always talking about crime. Every single crime incidents around the country, no matter where, no matter when, sometimes no matter even how big the actual incident is, it is always blown up as like a national news story, making people believe that crime is so wild, so rampant, and so on the rise, and people can play into that. People can play into that. And the people who've been playing into it have been the Republicans. And they have been for a long time to try and paint the Democrats, paint the left as being pro-crime. They love crime. All of their things are incredibly crime-ridden. All of the big cities are so crime-ridden and so scary. But is that true? Does that have any bearing in reality whatsoever? Some people really argue not. If you can take a look at this. And I don't typically talk about opinion pieces, but we can talk about the facts behind this opinion piece. And it's just incredibly interesting. So this was written in Bloomberg. New York City is a lot safer than small town America. And so this seems a little counterintuitive than what we'd even believe. If I were to ask you people, typically either in the audience or just someone generally, where is more dangerous? Where are you more likely to be just like a victim of a crime, really? In small town America or in a big city like the US? Like a big city like New York City? A lot of people would pick the big city. They would imagine that the big city is a place where violent crime is far more rife and where you're far more likely to be a victim. But it seems like the research and it seems like the stats just don't back that up. We could take a look at this really quick. It's incredibly interesting. Okay. Here in the United States, at this very moment in time, crime generally is rising. That part is true. There is more crime this year than there was last year, but we need to actually put that into the big picture. We can't just sit here and be like, oh yeah, crime is going crazy. Crime is wild. We need to do something about it. It's not as bad as a lot of people try to make you believe that it is. I wanted to do this segment specifically to let you know that you could be getting lied to, and whether you know it or not, you could be buying into politicians' hands when it comes to crime, so they can play you for your votes or for your just simply wariness. If they can get it to stick in your mind and get you to think about it, then they've already gotten through half the battle. Honestly, they've kind of won over what you're thinking about. Because instead of you thinking about like big, more larger issues like climate change, like criminal justice, like police reform, like healthcare, like Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, and the fact that they want to cut it. A lot of conservatives want to cut it. Even conservatives who call themselves like blue dog Democrats and everything are perfectly happy taking pills out of your grandma's mouth. They want you to worry about like the idea that, oh, we have to change something because crime is so bad these days. Let's take a look at this, okay? Let's just take a look at this really quick. Since the summer of 2020, the United States has experienced a deadly wave of violence, and New York City has not been immune. The number of homicides in the city shot up 47% in 2020 and rose another 4% last year. While the tally is down 9% so far this year, there's been some shocking murders, not to mention mass shootings on the subway that miraculously didn't take any lives. But I would like to take a little look, okay, at some of this. Let's look a little deeper into what these stats actually say in the country and where you actually are safe. Because if you were to believe the governor of Oklahoma, who's like, oh, I can't believe that you would sit here and tell me that Oklahoma is more dangerous for your average person than crime-ridden city like a massive metro or New York City. I can't believe that. Well, let's see what's really believable. Safest of the 6 large cities. Let's just take a look at New York City for a moment. Okay? So New York City, this is a chart from 1985 to 2021, because if you didn't know, 2022 isn't even over yet. It's about to be, but it's not over yet. So New York City is the light blue line down here, at the one at the very bottom, that has the least amount of murders. And as you go up, you have Los Angeles, Phoenix, Houston, Chicago, and then Philadelphia. When it comes to the amount of crime that they have, and all have experienced a bit of a crime spike. That is true. Hey, Philly on top. Hey, Philly number 1. Philly number 1. Yeah, we love Phoenix. We love Phoenix. One of my favorite cities. I have to say. But New York seems to be a little bit safer than a lot of these other big cities. It's really interesting. On top of that, let's not even talk about simply like big cities versus themselves. Let's talk about big cities versus the rest of the country. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so we can actually take a look at this. Murder in cities and suburbs and the country. So this is per 100,000, just so you know. So it goes from central counties and large metropolitan areas. New York City is singled out specifically. But so this is big cities. This is like LA. This is like Philly. Big counties that have big cities in them. This is going to be the light blue line. New York is going to be the black line. Medium metros, so like a decently sized town, but nothing like too crazy. Small metros, non-metros, and fringe counties, large metros, okay? All together. So New York City is the black line. So since 2016 to 2019, New York City in and of itself has been the least violent place per capita. This would be the safest place for you as a normal human being walking the street. And it would be far more safe for you than non-metros. So if you see non-metros are right here. Non-metros, so we're talking like some really small cities in comparison, have had a higher crime rate on average than New York City itself. Now, central cities and large metropolitan areas have more than non-metro, but the fact that non-metro is above like large metros in fringe counties and above like New York City in and of itself can tell you something. It's nowhere near as safe as a lot of people say that it is. It's just not. There's a lot of crime there. Now, this could be drug crime. This could be property crime. A lot of people talk about murders, but at the same time, most of crime isn't murder. This is per capita. It wouldn't make sense to talk about total because there are more people. So obviously there'd be more crime. But we're talking about how safe you'd be as a singular person, right? Obviously, if there's a place with like 2 people and one kills the other person, that'd be a pretty high amount of crime statistically, but like in total, not that much crime. But if you were one of those 2 people, you had a 50% chance of having a crime committed against you, right? It's more likely to talk about like per capita here. It makes more sense. But if you simply talk about this type of crime, like you getting hurt, yeah, and weed too, you just getting hurt specifically, another thing that we need to talk about are car crashes, okay? So when it comes to car crashes and you just being killed in a vehicular or transportation incident, non-metro goes up dramatically. Look how freaking crazy this part is. Put homicide and transportation risk together and New York starts to look like a refuge from American carnage. Look how much people freaking die. 30 out of 100,000 people die. It's not easy when you have to drive like 30 minutes to and back from like a grocery store. Like it may be cute and fun to live in your like little like suburbia like little bubble land, but the likelihood of you and your family dying in a car crash goes up dramatically. You want to talk about the danger of, I don't know, getting shot on a subway? It is far more likely for you to die on your way home from picking up groceries with your kids from school or an after school program for you to get hurt on a New York subway besides, I don't know, maybe like slipping on like a homeless people pee, or getting your or being the victim of a pizza rat stealing your pizza slice when you turned your head. That's what's more likely to hurt you than actually dying or being the victim of a violent crime, if we're going to be honest with ourselves. And all of this doesn't take account all of this doesn't take into account the 2001 terrorist attacks, because I don't think that's really very fair. If that's the case, then I don't know, we could look at the Oklahoma City bombing, if we're going to be honest with each other. All right, if we're going to be using that metric for whether or not a place is safe, right? And so we can even talk about death from external causes, not necessarily murder, but your likelihood to die or be in danger. It goes up dramatically in non-metro areas. So we don't have to harp on this 24/7 like all the time. We don't have to keep going through the stats like this. I wanted to show you this so we can have a basis for continuing to talk about this. Because if we just take a look at what's actually happening in this country compared to what people believe is happening in this country, it just does not comport. It just does not comport. It's just not real. And I want you to understand this when we're going into the election cycle here, to understand that people are scared about crime. And it's fine to be scared about crime. But the idea of us being scared about crime to a 30-year high shows us that we're not simply worrying about things actually happening in this country, because we have the same we're worrying about crime today, more about the same as we are back in 1989. Back in to like the 1980s. It hasn't been this high. What is this, 78? It hasn't been this high since 1992. 1992. This is ridiculous. We are being lied to. We're being fear-mongered into believing that we're in danger so we can fork over money. So remember when I talked about the conservative use of fear and the fear of the unknown, and how they want to make you scared so they can get you to vote for them even though nothing's actually going on. How they harness that fear like fucking demons to be able to use it for their own gain. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about, because this is something that they're trying to push to people. And the saddest part is that they're actually working. Donald Trump talked about this a lot. He helped shoot up the people thinking about crime in America from 60% to 78% just in his single fucking 4-year term. That's insane to me. That's remarkable. Look at 9/11. Oh my gosh. What the fuck? People thought there was less crime in America like directly after 9/11 than they do right now. Okay? Can we be honest with ourselves about how insane this is? Can we be honest with ourselves about how insane this is? People believe that there's more crime now than there was like a couple months after 9/11, bro. This is remarkable. You're being lied to. You're being bamboozled. You're being screwed over. Okay? How? It's because of like I was saying, just how Donald Trump got into office off of the backs of multi-billion-dollar media corporations helping boost his message, how they were more likely to film Donald Trump's empty podium than they were anybody else talking about real issues that are harming real Americans, that isn't the country historic lows for violent crime that we've ever experienced, even though we have more people in this country now. So crime, when it comes to violent crime, since 2015 has been relatively static, right? But since 2010 has been relatively static. But since 2010, you know what's happened in this country? We've gained an extra near 30,000 people. And so, 30,000. We've gained an extra 30 million people. And so while talking about that, if the crime rate stays the same, but we add more people, we don't need to become statisticians to understand that means that the crime rate on average has dropped. There's less crime now than there has ever been in the history of the United States, basically. And people are at an all-time high for believing that they're going to be the victims of crime. The same way how they were more likely to spend all day talking about how Donald Trump said this, Donald Trump did that, and film his empty podium, besides talking about like workers' rights or climate change or anything or like your pension or like how corporations are stealing your future or anything along those lines. Okay, what they're more happy to talk about is strife, is anger, is sadness, is all of these types of things that they want to play on. So they're, you know what, instead of talking about any of those things that actually matter, they'll talk about, oh my gosh, did you hear about this crime that happened in a city that you've never been to, in a state that you've driven through once in your entire life? Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Did you hear about how this murder happened here, how this robbery happened there, how this happened here or there? Like all of these types of things to like drum up the idea that there's more crime and more danger in this country than there ever has been, even though it's the exact opposite. No, I mean, if you just never seen it, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. It's pretty. I think people have seen that the way the media has been covering crime, the fact, especially like national news covers like a lot of local petty crime, or like the idea of like massive crime waves going around the country is pretty. It's pretty noticeable. Mechanics behind it are super interesting, but it breaks down to building an associative symbol to inspire fear. Why brainless conservatives mindly hate liberals? They don't know anymore. They just have a very strong avoidance response. Well, that and it's really easy to tell people that things are getting worse when we're much more like sort of like we're a much more like national society where we spend more time now thinking about things that are happening like on the other side of the country, in a place that we've never been, that we may never even go to, than we do talking about like our actual things going on in the city that can help us. Okay, because I know for a fact a lot of you all have been thinking a lot more about like the Senate races going on in Pennsylvania or Ohio or fucking California or Arizona when you live 2,000 or more miles away, and you haven't been doing that much thinking about like your local mayoral race that's probably going to have much more of an impact on your life than the federal elections will. If I'm going to be honest with you, okay? Let's be honest with ourselves, okay? You have. Can you name even your U.S. House representative? Can you name that your state House representative right now? Can you do that? Can you name your county clerk? Can you name your county sheriff or your county judge? Can you name your Supreme Court judge, your state Supreme Court judge? No clue. But I promise you, if I give you a name of like a federal politician who represent some county you've never been to, from some state you've never been to, all the way across the goddamn country, that you'll be more likely to be able to tell me more about them than you will about the people who are actually representing you, that you can actually talk to and be able to make a change in your area. You know? And that's unfortunate. That's sad. And that's how we get things like this. And that's how we get things where you believe that things are changing when they're actually not. When crime can be dropping in your area or just generally, but we care more, and what gets more news is not wow, things are really good these days. Is, whoa, did you see that other shooting that just happened? Like, oh guys, another shooting just happened in the state you've never been to. That's crazy. You should be scared of gun. I know some of you all have been scared to go to like maybe even like over Halloween, that some of you have been scared to like go to like a big gathering of people. Some of you all have been looking over your shoulder a little bit when you hear somebody yelling in like a Walmart or another like big box store. You're worried that you're going to be like another victim of something. You need to chill out, okay? Because what's happening there in your mind is happening in the minds of so many other people in this country to make them believe that things are way more scary than it actually is. There are over 330 million people, about 330 million people in this country. You are way more in danger of getting killed on our like car-based infrastructure on your way home from work than you are to be a victim of some horrible violent crime or even property crime. You need to understand that. And where crime is really bad are a lot of conservative states where they don't spend anywhere near the time that they need to be able to take care of it. I mean, just take a look at this one more time, okay? Look at this. This is a dramatic, wild drop in crime. I actually don't believe that per capita there's been a time in this country where crime has been lower. We've been tough on crime since forever. We have more people incarcerated in the United States. We have 25% of the world's prison population. 25%, while having 3% of the world's population. Okay? I don't know what to tell you more than being tough on how much more tough on crime we can be besides just like throwing people in jail once they pop out of the womb. And the biggest problem here is that a lot of people are like switching who they want to vote for, and a lot of people are like, oh, with all of this, oh fuck, I just deleted the shit that I wanted to click on. I'm so mad. Yes, segment gone, reduced to atoms. Well, thank you. I got it back. I got the tab back. And the craziest thing is, while they're running on this, while they're running on how they want to stop crime, how they want to lower crime, the politicians who are talking so much about crime don't even have the power to do anything about crime. Most candidates running on crime don't have much power to solve it. A lot of the people who say that they want to fix crime, they can't. It's not even like they don't have the policy to. They literally don't have the power to. I'm sorry, your senator isn't going to fix crime in your city. It's not going to happen. It's not real. Your congressman doesn't control your police budget. Your senator probably doesn't know where the worst hotspots are. It's remarkable to me how much people are getting bamboozled. This is the real sheeple, okay? This is the real wake up. Wake up. Some people need to be shaken. And some people are looking over their shoulders every single day, scared that they're going to be a victim of a violent crime because of this. All of the anxiety that we're putting on normal people and telling them that these politicians are creating a problem that they can't even fix. You know, the idea of like the whole like create a problem that only you can fix. These people are creating a problem that even they can't fix. These like 90% of the people who are running on crime have no power whatsoever to do anything about crime. They can't help your police budget. And the people who do actually have the power to fix your police budget, you probably don't even know their damn names. You've never been to your city council. Okay? You've never spoken at your like public legislative session for your state government. Okay? It's never happened. You have no clue who your state representative is. You have no clue who your county sheriff is. All of these people have way more power than fucking Ocasio-Cortez and random ass senators from your state do. In like what goes on when it comes to this type of stuff. When it comes to how to actually fix crime, when it comes to like rehabilitation centers, when it comes to like contact with like at-risk communities, all of this type of stuff. These people have no clue what's happening. And they have no idea how to fix it either. Would-be governors want to crack down on crime. Senators will crack down on crime. Members of Congress will do it too. Obviously, their opponents won't. The law and order messaging is often disconnected from the nuance of crime trends. Oklahoma has a higher violent crime rate than California. Oklahoma has a higher violent crime rate than goddamn California. But they're still running on the idea that they're going to fix crime? Really? Really? It's just remarkable. It is insane to me. And it's really sad. And the worst part about it is, once again, we're the ones suffering from democratic ineptitude because, well, all of this happens, okay? Democrats are on the back foot again, buying into the lines, hook, line, and sinker, barely easing anybody's fears that crime actually isn't like a massive issue, that these people are pretending that it is, that they aren't pro-crime. What they're doing is they're playing right into the conservatives' hands by going, I'm so pro, 27 trillion more cops. That's what we need. That's what we'll need to do. Democrats promote the tough on crime credentials as party plays defense. Again, Democrats on the back foot. They're on their heels again because they can't possibly imagine being on the offense. They can't possibly imagine actually having something to actually defending, actually like pushing something instead of just being on defense time and time again and letting the Republicans control the narrative as they run away with the idea that everywhere else in the country is some crime-ridden hellhole, except for maybe the place that I'm in. But the place that I'm in is definitely cool. But everywhere it could spill over anywhere. It could be you next. You could be a victim of Democrat crime next. Who knows? We all need to calm down. Everybody needs to calm down for a second. It is true that crime has been on the uptick a bit in this country. That's true. But what's also true is that we are at record historic lows in crime. And Democrats, in one of the most pivotal elections that we're going to be experiencing recently, even though we keep saying that, as sad as it is, it seems like the elections keep getting more pivotal, are on their back foot again, playing into conservative hands again, as conservatives lie and fearmonger to the public to get them to rally behind no more, don't change anything. Oh, we need to stop doing new things because, oh, look at all this crime. Oh, everybody is unsafe, even though they're not going to do anything to fix it. Again, it's just on repeat, everybody. So if you're going to be taking this, if you're going to be taking anything from this little like meme segment that we've been doing here, I'd like to do this. If you hear somebody talking about actual crime, reassure them and talk about how even though it has been a bit on the uptick, that even if it has been on the uptick, that we always will live in ebbs and flows of crime. We are never going to live in a world where crime will always be ticking down all of the time. We're at record level lows of crime. Honestly, it's hard for us to have less crime. Unironically, it's hard for us to have less crime in this country. Now, that's not to say that there are not hot spots where crime is rampant. That's obviously true. And it's not to say that there are not problems where crime is never a problem, or if there is like a crime that's committed and there's a victim out there that their crime, that their like victim status does not matter. That's not true. But what is true is that a lot of people are being duped, fooled into believing that things are a lot more scary than actually is, to get them to vote for a politician who has no care and no power even to do anything about it. Remember that. Come here. Oh. Hi. Oh, sorry. I didn't see you there. If you're enjoying the content, hit the subscribe button. If you don't, it'll make Boo very sad. I know a bunch of you who are watching are not subscribed. Join the frenzy. You won't regret it. Thank you, Boo.